Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Igon. Thank you so much for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis. In today's video, we are on board with ENVOY as he and the Chicago Huntsmen go to battle against the Atlanta Faze. This is one where you're going to want to stay around until the very end of the video because there is quite the comeback, there's quite the finish, so that is something you don't want to miss. Also, this is the first Scrim day post the new patch, so you're gonna see a little bit more ARs, you're gonna see a little bit just different guns. This one, it's still mainly just the MP5 and the M4, but in this scrim as a whole, we have seen Simp using the Uzi, we've seen ENVOY using the Uzi, we've seen it quite a few different times out of quite a few different players on different maps. Last thing that I'll say is I broke down every other map from this scrim live on Twitch last night, so that's twitch.tv/IconNationYT. Thank you so much to all of the 200 unique viewers that tuned in last night. We had a ton of fun breaking down this series as a whole, so if you're not there for that, go ahead and give me a follow over there. But without further ado, again, like we said earlier, this is the first scrim day post that new patch where, of course, the MP5 has been nerfed just a little bit. They made it the 10mm round just a little bit worse, not quite as good at long range as it was before, but up close it's still pretty much just as good as it was before, which is why on this one you still see ENVOY and you still see most players using the MP5. On the bigger maps like Azir Cave, even on Gunrunner where you get into gun battles that are a little bit more spread out, a lot of people were using the Uzi. So it just depends. There's some teams running 3 M4s on bigger maps. There's some teams running 3 M4s, 1 MP5, and 1 Uzi, and it's just kind of all over the place. So it's cool to see a meta change, and we'll see how that impacts the rest of the league as we get ready for CDL New York, which is in about a week and a half. But with that, we are now rotating over to P3. Chicago, decent first 2 sets of hardpoints, but they have map control, they have spawns, they have everything they need as it's about to rotate over to P3. But again, this is a new meta, it's a new patch, so I want you guys to listen in and hear what both teams are saying. So without further ado, let's go ahead, let's turn up the team comm audio, and I'll stop it where I still feel important things are happening.
Good job.
Go left, guys, go left. Me and Preston are hitting old. I one gate, I just joked the fuck out of it. Me and Preston are old, Have your back door? 3. You're missing a BZ and Preston.
I'm looking at the right cross in case you got through.
A BZ, last kid. Sip in the back. Sip going window, Preston. Sip going window, Preston. Okay, I'm hitting old again.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, Danny, he's right here. He's still there. They're still double hitting it. Triple hitting it.
That's fine. I'm playing top rusty. I'm
gonna get time. I'm looking river. Right now.
I'm looking demon tracks.
I want river.
They're like all over rusty. Top rusty dead.
Sim coming right. He's going top rails, it looks like. Sim going res. Oh.
Oh, jeez. Red car. Bottom blue.
Bottom rusty.
Oh,
He
dude.
pinched me, Sim. Yeah.
So you just heard Scum talk about it a little bit there, but as you don't really see P4 broken quite like this. Normally this is one of the stronger ones or one of the more difficult ones to break. But you saw that as P4 popped, ENVOY was top restaurant. As he was up there, he was looking for people to push through mid-map, and it just didn't happen, right? He looked there for like 5 or 10 seconds, and nobody came through there. The majority of what happened from Atlanta is they went through P1, and as they went through P1, they were able to get a 2-piece inside of P4. As that was happening, ENVOY was jumping across over here to top blue. He ended up going down at the same time as the rest of his teammates. So as Chicago started with P4, they just got broke through that choke point at the bottom of P1. And the biggest thing that happened is as ENVOY was looking across, he saw somebody pushing through to red car right here. As that was happening, if he just holds this choke, he saw a couple pushing through from that P1 choke, and unfortunately they just got through. So a little bit of an ill-timed approach there. They just didn't quite get the kills that you're used to seeing Chicago get.
What the fuck, dude? Guys, making a montage clip, bro. I'm getting out of there.
Fucking.
I got him.
Nice.
I'm holding river.
I think so. Flank front. I think so. Flank
It's court. There's 2 court.
Still looking for Cell. He was front of the
Easy's
hole.
river on me.
Try to keep spawning the P1 or back P2.
Still holding river, guys.
I'm about to stack hill. I'm about to stack hill.
Keep me
bro.
top.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Another on the river.
Maniac's
Where's
out CL.
I'm top hill. I'm top hill right now. Can someone stack?
Yeah,
Hey, smoke me, River.
I'm here.
Yo, top CL, Mag.
Got me, river. Yo, 2 rivers.
Drop down.
Both sides river.
River,
Cell's dead first. One back door. Back courtyard. Preston.
Front door on me.
Priest
Beat
back
him
door.
somewhere.
What? Fuck, I hate to see that.
Courtyard absolutely south. There's 2 hitting backdoor, 2 hitting backdoor.
I died, dude. A beezy got me.
So if you were Chicago, this is where things get just a little bit iffy, right? First of all, as P4 was ending, they ended up getting pushed out. They lost P4 spawns, which means as it rotates to P5, they also don't have the beneficial spawns for P5, just because if you're holding P5 from the other way, there are so many different routes that people can get through from. So if we just bring up the minimap real quick, obviously Atlanta had P4. As they push through to P5, they could go top resty and go through these mid stairs right here, so they can approach kind of from that head-on angle. They can also go through this back door, or they could push through blue courtyard and they could hit L over here. So there's just so many ways you have to watch if your enemies are approaching from that right-hand side of the map, that it's just easier to watch from mid. And now, as we're about to rotate to P1 and then obviously back to P2, they have spawns for the next few hard points. So this is where things get a little bit sketchy here for Chicago. But we'll see if they're able to hold as it moves on into the second set of rotations.
Elbow and give me hold, dude. There's 2 hold. You guys are good. Simp in a beezy hold.
It's me, Flash.
Yeah, hate to see that. I got flash crossing.
Absolute new Preston.
He was weak. Top fast behind you.
Weak.
No, I'm playing with you. I'm playing top with you.
bro. A beezy's up there. They're looking for a beezy. Good job. I'm going low. Preston's pitching.
I jumped out. Arch dead. Back left. Good job.
Good break, guys.
Another one here. Close.
I'm gonna go around. You can.
I need a green car.
You got me. 2 there.
What the fuck? A beezy and small.
I killed Blue Van.
We gotta get the hill, brothers. We gotta get the hill.
Blue Van dead.
Someone try to get to him, man.
Yeah, try.
There's. I mean, one of us could have definitely made it to him.
Yeah, I'm killing this guy old.
I went
Wait,
hotel, guys. I went hotel.
Top bar, Sim. Don't see Tyler anywhere. Spawning back
I'm
half.
in hotel, guys. I'm in hotel. Don't push hotel.
Huh?
In the middle part of it. No, you just
Blue court.
Dude.
Do not go hotel. Do not.
That right there is just a really nice job of a BZ just finessing inside the hill, right? He was in there. He was able to get that first kill on Arcides. Then he snapped around. He basically just ran in a circle. Envoy couldn't follow him. He got that kill also. And honestly, kills like that are huge because that's like a 20-point swing. If a BZ doesn't get that 2-piece, then 10 points go to Chicago. And Atlanta obviously doesn't get that 10 points. So you have a 20-point swing. So even though scrap time, it's not the most important thing that happens in Hardpoint, you string together a few of those 10-second scrap points. Now all of a sudden that's a 30-point difference in the game, right? So it does have a little bit of a bearing on who ends up winning the game.
I'm putting pressure on this.
I know. I'm helping you, Matt.
Courtyard.
I'm cutting from bar right now.
Oh, MC courtyard. Okay, we're good. That's fine. I'm playing top restaurant. Get the time. Yeah.
I have time.
I spawned blue court.
Top what?
Top rusty.
Behind him.
We're getting bullied, bro. We're getting fucking bullied.
None of them are
One in time.
Bell weak. One's courtyard. Sells in bathroom. Selling bathrooms.
That one right.
Bathrooms. You just need your teammate. Selling
In bathrooms. Bathroom's dead.
Yeah, let's-
Hold my seat.
And just so we're kind of keeping on board with this, because I am going to let you listen to the last couple of minutes because it gets pretty intense. But they lost P4, right? First set of rotations, they lost P4. They got beat on P4. When it went to P5, they didn't have spawns. They lost on P5 also. As it rotated second set of rotations, they didn't get the majority of time inside of P1. They weren't able to flip for P2, and now they're getting bullied inside of P3. So this is like 4 or 5 hard points in a row here that just haven't gone their way. And as it's about to rotate to P4 on the opposite side of the map, they don't have those spawns either. So it's just been a difficult mid-game so far here for Chicago.
This kid's going nuts.
No?
He went with dumbest fights.
One blue dump, 2 blue dump right now.
Yeah, if he's top ledge. He dropped down the pillars.
Red car, sell, red car, sell.
Good job. I'm going back for it right now. I'm going for it.
And I got him.
Three. Everyone hold up. Only
Side
one person
door.
won't cross. Everyone go else.
I went back door.
And then,
Front door dead.
good job. I'm in town. All right, good job. That's fine, good job.
Back door, don't know back door.
That right there is a fantastic play from Envoy, and it just seemed like something simple, right? But as they were pushing through, he almost killed Celium, and then he did end up killing Celium as he went back across and towards bottom blue. But he pushed over here towards Courtyard, and as that was happening, the rest of Chicago was hitting front P4, so they were hitting through these 2 entrances. Envoy went ahead and he threw a smoke in this area right here, which allowed him to run through the smoke, and he allowed him to pinch P4 from behind. And as soon as you can do that, he got the kill on the, I think it was Priesta, who was watching front P4. And then he immediately swung around and was able to get a 2-piece as Atlanta, right? As soon as you take over P4, that's going to give Atlanta this P2 spawn. So as soon as they were pushing in from P2, he was also able to get a kill off of spawn there, which is just another really nice job of being aware and just that split second of knowing where they're going to come from, right? He pushed into P4. He got that kill. As soon as that happened, he knew that Atlanta was going to get that P2 spawn. He looked out the back door and was able to capitalize on that kill either. Just those split second decisions that really make a difference when it comes to pro lobbies.
Graceful dead vector.
Another one, court hurt. Good jump.
Everything else? One. P2 going front blue. Or back blue, sorry. Abizi, that's not him, it's Sip. Abizi and Sip.
I flanked court.
But at this point in time, if you're Atlanta, this isn't all that difficult. It's not that problematic either because you only need 17 seconds. So give the rest of this time up towards Chicago and just make sure you get kills in those cuts as Chicago tries to run into P5. All you need is 17 seconds. Just get those cuts, win the time in P5. That's all you have to do to win, hypothetically.
Good job, Alec. Good job. I'm looking tracks.
Someone stack hill with me?
Yeah, I'm stacking.
Nothing tracks.
Elbows open.
Nothing tracks. Oh, one tracks. He's blue dump. Good job. I'm looking. Dead.
My elbow.
Your L is open. Another one new, Tyler.
One shot. I can't, we have to rotate. Give up the time. Push out front.
I'm gonna pitch to you guys.
My bad. We're getting over this time.
He's back left.
Got naded from back left.
Oh, he's like C elbow and big arch. C elbow and big arch.
I have a trophy. Try to cross small Preston.
Alec, you're looking for Cell and Preston.
He just, oh, dude.
As we come down the stretch here, this is basically perfectly set up for Atlanta, right? You're getting kills inside the hard point. You know as Chicago comes up off a spawn, they have to enter through that one choke point. So as long as you get kills in arch right here, then you're going to end up winning if they can finish those kills.
Another one there. Two there.
Three. One more bottom bar and blue in. Bottom bar.
Bottom bar dead.
Oh, brother, go.
Helping you. Dead, I got one.
We can still win off this.
Pinch two, pinch again. I got one there
I
side.
see pinch.
I have pinch out, give it up.
Give it.
We can win off this. We have to win off this. We have to win off this.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, one more pinch, I got 3.
Two.
Let's go.
And right there, down towards the stretch. I want to break this down just real quick because RC just got a massive 3-piece right there. We'll look at the scoreboard in just a second, but essentially Atlanta was spawning out over here, right? So they still sent 2 this way. One of them was Major Maniac that Envoy was able to kill with a nade. And as those 2 were pushing this way, they smoked out this pinch right here. And as that pinch was coming through, Arcees was able to kill Celium, Abizi, and I believe it was Simp, all 3 of them as they were trying to pinch from behind. Had they been able to execute that pinch, they probably would have got 3 or 4 dead, and they probably would have ended up winning. But that's a massive 3-piece from Arcees, which ended up winning the game for the Chicago Huntsmen. In the scrim, they did win the majority here, so with this map win, they won 3 out of the 5 hard points. The dominations, I didn't really put too much time into, but I wanted to make sure that we checked all of the hard points. So they scrimmed 3 days ago. That one went 2-3 in the hard points, the 5 hard points. Atlanta won 3 of those. In this one, Chicago won 3 of those. So if we look at the scoreboard here, Formal went +4, Arcees -2, Envoy +1, Pristini -5, but he plays the map so fast that that's pretty good for the role that he plays. Scump -7. Underneath, the slaying department was really held pretty strong from Atlanta. Priesta +7, Abizi +5. If you're an Atlanta fan, that's good to see because Priesta, again, last event, he had some matches where he went like 0.5, 0.7, something like that. So it's good to see him with a little bit of success. But overall, really close match, really tight finish, and something enjoyable to watch there. So if you're new around here, it's the first time you've checked out my channel. I put out brand new videos like this every single day, breaking down the Call of Duty League. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Any comments on this one, put them down below. Anything with the new meta, the new guns, any of that stuff, put them down in the comments. I love the interactions and hearing what you guys have to say. Leave a like before you head on the way. It really helps out the channel. And with that, guys, thank you so much. I will catch you in tomorrow's upload.